Hey, what's going on, my friend? It's Jeff Newpert from ChasingStrength.com. And in today's video, I wanted to answer a question that you may have if you've been watching my previous videos. And I know a lot of people had this question who are on my email list. And so the question is this: Jeff, how is your new core training program for kettlebells different from what I'm currently doing? All right, so before I get to that, let me ask you a question. Did you know that core training used to be huge back in the late 90s and 2000s? In fact, it was all the rage. I mean, we had DVDs, we had home study materials, certifications for trainers, entire classes at fitness centers with names like Core Boot Camp, right? Dedicated to full hour-long sessions with endless core exercises, single leg stance, wobble boards, Airex pads, the Bosu ball, you name it, man. Like everything was geared to core training. In fact, I remember teaching an abs class back at the Executive Fitness Center at the old pre 9/11 World Trade Center complex. Golly, when was that? Back in 97, 1997. Yeesh. And that was back before I had these things here. What was that? Like, the silver hair, or as my daughter says, the white hair. And I remember distinctly being interrogated by the fitness manager because I was actually teaching lower back strengthening exercises, to strengthen the core, right? People are actually feeling their low back muscles work, right? And not just their abs or their six pack muscles, right? So then in the 2010s, it seemed like much of the fitness market, or at least my crowd, suddenly and inexplicably moved away from this core training thing into movement and functional movement and movement restoration, right? So if you've been around that long, you may have seen that trend, may remember it. And now, what do we got going on now? Well, I think it just depends on which crowd you're in and who you follow, right? I will say that I am seeing a resurgence of ground-based movement, right, which is a repackaged name for developmental and animal movements, right, which again were all the rage last decade. I know because I helped pioneer some of that information. But one thing I am certain of, there still seems to be a lot of confusion about what the core is, how you should train it, and whether you should even train it at all. So, like I said, I've been getting a lot of questions about my new training program, Systematic Core Training for Kettlebells. And if I haven't responded to a question that you've either emailed me or left me in a comment below, thanks for your patience. I think I'll eventually get there, but I got a lot on my plate right now. So I thought I would answer a lot of people's questions in this video, and hopefully I cover yours too. Okay. So back to the question at hand. How is the information in Systematic Core Training for Kettlebells different than what you are currently doing? Well, since I'm not clairvoyant, hold on, wait a second. I can tell you this. I see the future, and we're all going to die someday, and we all still have to pay taxes. How's that? So I can see the future. All right, anyway, I'm just kind of screwing around, but you know what I'm talking about, right? Since I'm not clairvoyant, I don't know what you're doing per se, okay? Especially if you and I haven't had a conversation, okay? So therefore, I thought I'd just give you a rundown of what you will be doing when you start the program that I've outlined for you inside of Systematic Core Training for Kettlebells, okay? So first of all, this program is based on what is called the SSP model. It's a proven model, which I first learned back, I guess, around in 1998 or so, and I've experimented on and off with over the decades, finally embracing it around 2012-ish. What does SSP stand for? It stands for stability, strength, and power. What's stability? Well, stability is the body's ability to stabilize the center of the body, right? Your pelvis and your spine, to create a solid base of support around which the rest of the body can move. So our goal in this particular phase is to strengthen the inner unit musculature, right? It's a group of muscles in the center of the body, which you can't see, by the way. It's not your six pack or your obliques. And that group of muscles is designed to produce what's called IAP, intra-abdominal pressure. And that's the mechanism which produces spinal stability, okay? A lack of stability in your middle, called reflexive core stability, can not only hurt your spine and hips, it can also lock down or restrict joint ranges of motion in other areas of your body further away from your center. This is called protective tension and is responsible many times, not all the time, but many times, for chronic muscle tightness and or joint stiffness and soreness. Okay, so that's the stability portion. Now, the second phase is called strength. Now, strength is your body's ability to generate, produce, and reduce or resist and decelerate and absorb force. That was a mouthful. Okay, so I'll say it again. Strength is actually your body's ability to generate, produce, and reduce, resist, decelerate, and absorb force. Okay, so in this phase, we train the muscles you generally can see. So you're going to be training your rectus abdominis, which is the fabled six-pack abs. your glutes, your erector spinae. So those are the bread loaves that run up either side of your spine, right? Your adductors are your groin muscles, and your hamstrings, the muscles that run down the back of your thighs. Now, this phase, the strength work, is built on top of your stability work, so you can access your joints full ranges of motion and do the things you actually want to do. Now, sometimes people actually have adequate core stability levels and they're just lacking core strength, good old-fashioned strength. And that lack of strength is what is holding them back, excuse me. Furthermore, we're going to use a three-phase process that I used to rebuild myself from 2010 to 2012. I spent a lot of time in phases 1 and 2 because ashamedly, I was that weak. I had neglected these areas of my body in favor of other areas of my body. Okay. Now, the important thing to note here is that each one of these phases, okay, in the strength phase builds upon the previous phase. Okay. And each exercise in each phase becomes progressively harder and more challenging. And that's a great thing if you like that. And if you don't, well, you're going to be challenged anyway. Okay. Now, the final phase is called power. And power, by definition, is the body's ability to express strength over a given period of time. Okay. Also called work. Typically, we will add locomotion in this phase of training. Now, I have to tell you, upon reviewing the last 30 plus years of professional training, I can see where people get these phases out of order. Okay. Very, very common, especially if somebody says, all you gotta do is this, that, and the next thing, right? But they don't say what the order is and how many reps and how many sets, okay? Or they will skip one or more of these phases altogether in favor of their favorite exercises or the exercises that look cool, right? Or feel great. So a common example is most people skip all, if not most, of the exercises in the stability portion, okay? Or here's another one of my favorite, they misapply tactics from one phase. So example would be high tension techniques found in some of the strength work, and they misapply them to other phases like the stability phase, where the goal is actually to get the body to stabilize the spine automatically, not create a ton of tension. Okay. So again, that's the first thing. Now, what's the second thing? The second thing is when you log in, you're going to watch 3 videos to test your abdominal stability and strength. 2 videos are the tests, and 1 is an explanation of what failing one of the tests actually looked like. We'll flash a still picture up here on the screen of what the inside of the portal looks like. Okay, so you get an idea of what you're getting yourself into and what you'll have immediate access to. All right. So I actually recommend taking these tests right there and then. So you log in, you watch the videos, you take the tests. They're simple, and each one of them takes, maybe 30 seconds each maximum. Okay. So third, you're going to download the training manual and then the training programs. And fourth, you'll review the exercise videos. First, review the stability videos, then the strength videos, and then the power. Okay. Now, make sure you review the actual programming structure on pages 78 to 82 of the training manual so you know how to set up your core training. Okay. If you pass the test, right, those 2 tests, excuse me, you'll want to start on the strength portion of the SSP model. If you failed one or both of the tests, start with the stability exercises. Now, the power training is always last, and you do it after you've completed all the stability and strength work, okay? So, as you can see, systematic core training for kettlebells is actually true to its name. It's systematic. So if you're at a loss for what to do with your core work, this program will show you. If you're at a loss for how to structure your core training, this program will show you. And if you don't know whether you need to do core work or not, the tests inside this program will show you. I'd say 100% of us over the age of 40 actually need to do this work and more of it rather than less of it. So if that interests you, I will leave a link to systematic core training for kettlebells in the description below so you can get started today. All right. Hopefully you found this video helpful. It cleared it cleared some stuff up for you. And if you liked it, go ahead and leave me a like button, smash the subscribe button, leave me a comment, and share it. Until next time, my friend, stay strong.